Yeah, so if at any point you get kicked off or have any issues, you should be able to pop right onto our YouTube channel and you can watch it. We won't be monitoring those comments though, just the ones on our Zoom call.
Lisa and Amy, if I have to hop off at 15 minutes early, is that okay? I have to get to the dance studio for my girls.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Thank you. Lisa and Amy, if I have to hop off.
Sorry about that. I had YouTube play and it has a lag.
We just would have heard Kathy twice. That's okay.
Mm-hmm. So for any of you who are familiar with Zoom, and even those who are not, where there will be quite a few of us this evening, there is a way to change the way that you view things. So depending upon what you're using, whether it be a tablet or a phone or your laptop, somewhere on your screen, it should allow you to manipulate how you see everybody in there. And the three people, hopefully that you want to see the most are myself, Amy, and one senior, because we'll be the ones speaking tonight. So if you need help with that, feel free. A good hint though is usually whoever is speaking has a yellow line or some kind of a line around their box. And that kind of helps you too, if you're having a hard time finding whoever's talking. Because myself and Amy will actually have a PowerPoint presentation tonight and it should take over your whole screen. So if at the beginning, when Amy first puts up her PowerPoint, I'll probably just ask everybody to make sure that you can see it just fine. And if you can't, I'm just going to ask you to unmute and just say, I'm having an issue. I can't see it. Okay, in our chat.
Hillary is saying she can't hear anyone.
I hate hey, say this, Hillary. I guess you can't hear me if I say this though. Is your volume turned up?
I'm sorry. I'm good now. Sorry. Can you hear me? I got muted again. I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Does anybody hear us?
Yes.
Hi, Bonnie.
All right, here you go. I've got Mary here. So we were having an issue with the computer, so I put her on my phone.
Perfect.
Okay.
Here you go. Now I have to go babysit. So here you go.
And if you can go ahead and just remute.
I'll mute you. It's just
Okay.
that she will have to unmute herself if she wants to say something, okay? I unfortunately can't unmute you once I've muted you, but I can mute you. So Mary, worst case scenario, if you can't get it unmuted, just do one of these numbers and we'll try it. We'll see what we can do to help you out. We have 26 on at this point, Amy, just to give you a heads up on numbers.
Okay, let's just do about a 2-minute wait. Everybody's been so great at being on time. We appreciate that. So we'll wait just maybe 2 minutes and then we'll get started.
And I think it was what, 44 families were registered, I believe.
Yes. Karen Galais is saying she's having a hard time.
Oh, thank you.
With the link. I'll go ahead and send that to her.
Okay. Was that through
text?
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I didn't see that in the chat. Good. I'm glad, Darren, that you're good. You can hear us. If anything changes, let us know. For anybody who's just joined us, we're just waiting a few more minutes to allow everybody just to get signed in and make sure everybody can see and hear us. And for anybody who might have to pop off early, I know that was one of the questions earlier. We are recording this, as I mentioned in the email. So it will be something that you can go back and watch if you need to.
Awesome. Let's see.
And in case anybody doesn't know, we had said at any point, you can jump on the chat. There is a chat feature that you can type in. So if you have a question at any time, feel free to use the chat. If your chat isn't working though, all we ask is that if somebody's talking, just wait for a pause before you unmute and ask a question. But we do, if you do need to stop us, we can do that. If you are able to use the chat, go ahead and do that. And myself and Amy are going to be monitoring that to make sure everybody gets to get their questions answered.
Okay. I'm thinking they're still rolling in. I'm thinking let's go ahead and get started. And then Lisa, you can just keep admitting them in.
Yes, we have 32 now.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so we wanted to welcome everybody. Thank you very much for coming. I'm sure that there are a lot of questions. We were only able to give you bits and pieces in these short video clips that Lisa and I and Monsignor have been sending out. So tonight is the night to just really kind of expand and expound upon this, and then to be able to kind of answer any questions that you may have. So Monsignor is going to start us out, kind of give us a real general overview of kind of why and what we're looking at with this family model. And then I'm going to move into kind of some of the more specifics for the youngers, what that looks like and why. And then Lisa's going to roll into kind of our middle school and high school group and what that's going to look like for them. Also some of the technical things, some of the calendaring and what all that looks like. So Monsignor, you're on.
Okay, very good. I just want to make sure I had unmuted myself. Good evening, everybody. It's great to see you and to virtually be together. I consider this yet another installment of one small Zoom step for man, one giant Zoom step for St. Anne humankind. So thanks for being a part of it. And being patient. We'll all be patient together with the inevitable little hiccups that might come along. So wanted to be attentive to time. As Amy said, we really want to thank you for being here. My task is just to kind of set a broad context for the exciting model that we're introducing. And the place to begin occurred to me, and pardon me, by the way, if I look away from the screen, I'm referencing some notes here on my desk. The place to begin, I think, occurs to me is in the sacrament of baptism. When your child was baptized and when a deacon or priest presides at the sacrament of baptism, I'm sure you find it, as we do, to be a very inspiring and uplifting thing, because with the infant that is before us, we see all kind of potential. This child can become a neurosurgeon one day, or a famous Broadway star one day, or President of the United States one day, or an astronaut one day, or who knows what. Unlimited potential. And the same is true with their spiritual life as well. This young child can be, who knows, a future saint in the church's life. And the growth and development that God can work with this infant is a tremendous thing to admire, and it's really inspiring. And toward the end of the baptismal liturgy, there's a three-part blessing that is prayed over the parents, and it includes one part that is directed toward the fathers, but it's really true for both parents as well. And you may recall that that blessing mentions how may they be the first teachers of their child in the ways of faith. May they also be the best of teachers by what they say and do in Christ Jesus, our Lord. So wonderful blessing. First teachers, best of teachers in the ways of faith. And our belief is that we're undertaking a new model that will support and encourage an even greater and more effective fulfillment of that great role that you as parents share. And the ritual uses very specific language on purpose. And the word that's used there, you might note, is the word faith. There is another word that we often use and in our common speech kind of conflate together to mean essentially the same thing as faith, but they're really a bit different. The other word is religion. And the way that I would describe the difference is that faith is the starting point, and it's all about relationship. Faith is a relationship with God and with God made flesh in the person of Jesus and in the power of their Holy Spirit. Living the spiritual life, bottom line, is all about cultivating, living in, growing, deepening our experience of faith, our relationship with God and with one another as fellow pilgrims in the spiritual life. The development of faith happens with the support of an organized way of reflecting and tending to faith, which is what we call religion. It's a way to support and grow faith. And the ultimate goal of a faith formation process is to bring those two as closely together in an effective spiritual partnership, faith and religion working together. And in order to accomplish that, over the centuries, there have developed kind of two delivery systems, if you will, or two methods. One, very particularly developed here in the United States, the Catholic Church in the United States, over the last 200 years or so, with the development and emergence of the system of Catholic schools. For those who on the Zoom now who attended a Catholic school, or for those who had a student in Catholic school, we know that along with a very high quality of learning how to read and to write and to do arithmetic and all of those academic activities, they take place in a context where prayer happens and is experienced, where teaching our beliefs and practices unfolds, etc. The other delivery system, if you will, for the religious development of faith has been called a number of things over the years. Most simply, we might think of it as quote unquote Sunday school. Many of us growing up might have still heard of it or experienced it with a little 3-letter acronym, CCD. And probably 98% of folks who experience CCD, participate in CCD, or know about CCD have no idea what CCD even means. So for the curious among us, CCD refers to a title, Confraternity of Christian Doctrine. So for the curious among, and so CCDs at Sunday school has also been called things like religious education. That was kind of a phrase or a term that evolved over time after the CCD primary image. And then more recently, even rather than religious education, another phrase, faith formation, has emerged as another way to try to describe and capture what this is all about. And that remains a very useful one for us here at St. Anne. And so this model of family formation is a particular method for, again, delivering faith formation for our students and for their parents and all family members as a complete and integrated whole, which we see as a really wonderful thing and a great blessing. With either of those delivery systems, Catholic schools or particularly Sunday schools, CCD, faith formation, etc., there over time emerged a couple of what might be called unintended consequences or results, particularly with the Sunday school. One was an emphasis on the head, very conceptually driven and a predominantly mental exercise, an academic taking in and bringing back out of knowledge. Some might recall that the church developed a teaching instrument, became rather famous, called the Baltimore Catechism, because it was developed by the bishops gathered in Baltimore. And it was a comprehensive series of questions and answers. And if you were a student in Catholic school, or if you were an adult who was not Catholic and wishing to become Catholic, it was expected that you learned, memorized the answers to the Baltimore Catechism. Famous things like, who made me? Answer, God made me. Question, why did God make me? Answer, to know him, to love him, and to serve him in this world, and so to be one with him forever in heaven. A whole series of questions. And the idea was a good one, namely, put the faith in an understandable way, accessible in question answer format. That's good. But the downside was that unfortunately, the faith became, for many, understood only as a matter of intellectually answering questions, specific questions, memorizing responses, regurgitating them back. And that's an unfortunate diminishment of what the most robust kind of faith relationship with God we all will be striving to experience. So it's not all head, it's mind for sure, but heart as well. A second unintended consequence or result was sometimes the loss of a sense of lifelong spiritual growth and development. Unfortunately, they're developed over decades, a running sense that somehow once one had participated in the sacraments of baptism, reconciliation, Eucharist, confirmation, that one really kind of had accomplished what one needed to accomplish in terms of quote unquote religious education. The result, unfortunately, is that oftentimes there are folks who are living lives in the very complex world in which we live, 30 years of age chronologically, 40, 50, 60, 80 years of age, whatever. But with basically a junior high school or high school, barely a high school maybe level of acquisition or development internally. Not everybody, of course, but too many than we would really like to see. And it's got to be tough for folks to try to navigate living the complex realities of the modern world with an internal spiritual operating system, as it were, like your phone, using an old or out-of-date iOS, a spiritual version of that, trying to deal with the challenges of living in the modern world. And so the idea, the notion of continuing to grow and develop spiritually, meaning in prayer and in relationship and in service, as well as understanding of the mind, all of that going together throughout a lifetime, sometimes didn't get tended to as well as it could. Unfortunately, despite the really, really wonderful, dedicated, loving efforts of catechists throughout the years, there's a really limited number of or amount of exposure that we kind of church leader types have with your child, with your students. Here at St. Anne, we figure there are about 26 one-hour sessions that happen throughout the course of the pastoral season. So that's 26 hours in the course of a year. One day, if you add it up together, accumulate it together, in your child's year, do we have exposure with them? All the rest, of course, are, or the dominant portion of the rest, are in the context of their loving homes and with their parents and families. And so there is, despite our best efforts, our exposure and access with your student, with your child, is quite limited. And so we feel a real responsibility to do even more than we've done before to really support and provide the resources that households need to grow together in faith when not with us and our faith leaders, teachers here, which leads to a final dynamic, and that is the separation, unfortunately, in experience sometimes of what happens in church and what happens at home. Sometimes the living the spiritual life, developing and growing in the life of faith can be misunderstood or misexperienced as simply, well, that's what happens for that hour or two at church on Sunday when I'm at church for worship for an hour, and then in faith formation session for another hour. Whatever happens for the whole rest of the week can be seen as kind of, well, the faith stuff's what I do at church, and then there's the rest of my life. And in fact, we all know that living the spiritual life and the life of faith is absolutely interwoven and interconnected, one seamless whole with the whole of our life. And whatever we can do to support and enhance that lived experience of religion and faith, not as simply a component part that we tend to and then set aside, but rather is a real integral part to the whole of our life, we really want to promote and foster. So with that general introduction, we also want to note that the development of a family formation model is something that is growing in the Catholic Church in our country, and it's still in the growing stage. And we believe this, what we're introducing is a really wonderful kind of state-of-the-art when it comes to living and growing in the spiritual life, kind of cutting edge, front of the curve, all those kind of phrases that we use in other elements of life. I've joked with Amy and Lisa that you know, most of us would probably not want to listen to our music anymore using cassette tapes. I don't think I would, I know I would not want to go to a physician, a doctor, who was still using 1950s medical equipment and medical knowledge. I know that when I was in high school, I learned how to keyboard on a manual typewriter. I know I wouldn't want to communicate with folks using a manual typewriter anymore. Family formation model is taking a really wonderful spiritual step forward in a more effective sharing and passing on and delivery of the reality, the experience of faith that we all value and cherish so much. So that's kind of background context for the model that we're really so happy and so eager and so excited to be introducing with you. And so now comes the time for me to hit my mute button. And I just got to say, I'm so glad that there's no mute button in the pews when you all come to hope some technology guru doesn't someday try to figure out how to make that happen. But in the meantime, I'll mute myself and we can take the next step in our plan tonight.
Amy, do you think we could probably, before we do the next step, is ask if anybody has any questions specifically for Monsignor? And if you do, feel free to unmute and say something now, or you're more than welcome to put something in the chat if you would like.
I'd be happy. I'm happy, of course, to respond to anything at all.
Okay, well, if that changes at any point, please feel free again, either when somebody pauses that you can unmute and say something, or put something in the chat at any point and we will address it. So go ahead, Amy, it's your turn.
Right, so I'm going to share my screen. I have a little PowerPoint that that I would like to kind of share with you. If you just give me a second. Okay. So I can't see very many of you now, but I'm wondering, you know, how many of you in looking at this kind of feel this way? Not another thing, one more thing. This actually, I'm not sure how many of you know, but this is actually a bronze statue that's entitled Flight into Egypt. That is down at the National Basilica down in Washington, D.C. And that is something that I think of often when I feel overwhelmed, because in this picture is the Blessed Mother. Our Blessed Mother, you know, without sin, given this awesome responsibility, looked like this. Often, probably, you know, when we're called to kind of do things, sometimes it just feels overwhelming. You know, Jesus, look at Joseph, he's wiped out, you know. And what's interesting, why I wanted to share this is that my parents used to take us down to the shrine. It was called the National Shrine. And basically, you know, we might wander a little bit together, but when we got old enough, they took us down there and let us kind of wander on our own. And their thought was just putting us in the presence, you know, of God, and that we could wander and explore and kind of let the shrine teach us. And I just want to encourage, as you kind of listen to this family formation model, that you know, we want you to be creative. And we want this to fit for your family. Lisa and I both have, you know, teenagers now, and, you know, thinking, oh my gosh, how do you talk about God, you know, in this manner? And it's very interesting. Like I've come up with some kind of creative ways, and you guys might too. One was I wanted to go up to the to Mount St. Mary's. And so I thought, I'm going to see if I can get the kids all say, hey, we're going to go out to pizza afterwards. Who's going up with me? And, you know, me. And then I just kind of put them in the presence, right? And so they had this great hour of wandering around where, you know, I wasn't sitting at the table with a book. And that's really not what we're asking you to do. So we don't want you to feel this sense of overwhelmingness. And as we go on, you know, I hope that this will get a little lighter and easier for you. So here's our model. I wanted to start, I kind of moved around my slides just a little bit from the parent meeting. I kind of wanted to start with this one. This says, you know, does the Catholic Church support this model? And I can see, let me see if I can minimize everybody, because I can't read all of my, there we go. Very interesting. John Paul II, 40 years ago, said the right and duty of parents to give education is essential, original and primary. It is irreplaceable and incapable of being entirely delegated to others. The concern is we've taken it from you guys. You know, 40 years ago, they said, you know, you really need to be doing something, including the families. You know, we've shared with you before at parent meetings. First and foremost, you're the educators of the children. That was said 60 years ago at Vatican II. You know, also in Vatican II, family catechesis aids families in becoming the domestic churches they're called to be. So this was being called, you know, to have happened years and years and years ago. And we're just kind of now coming around to that. So don't feel like, oh my gosh, this is this newfangled, you know, crazy model. This is something the church has kind of been calling for. And what I kind of wanted to show you was, as we move forward, you know, Lisa and I shared with you kind of these studies in our little blips and our little blurbs that we sent out. You know, we're starting to see that because we haven't kind of included things in the family, you know, 13 is the typical age that they're finding that kids say that they've decided to leave the church. You know, again, you can read these. 63% of those interviewed said that they stopped being Catholic between 10 and 17. You know, we still have them in our faith formation programs then. And people look back and they're saying, yeah, by 10, I was out. 23% of those interviewed for this study say they left the faith before age 10. You know, and like Monsignor said, our catechists work very hard. And I know you guys work very hard to bring your kids, you know, to faith formation. It's exhausting, you know, every week, you know, during the school year. And, you know, we're not seeing results. And so it's kind of that idea that, you know, it's time to do something. We can't expect a different result if we continue to do the same thing. So this is where we're kind of coming from. I wanted us to also look at what our numbers were at our own church. And I thought this was interesting. You know, I've had Barb for the last 3 years that I've been here keep numbers of just absences, not to, be punitive, but to just kind of say, to be able to call families if there was a concern, say, is everything okay? Can we help you? But it's really served a really interesting purpose as we're looking forward to this family formation model. As we look at that 2017, 2018, we have 35% of our kids missed 6 or more classes in the year. That's 26 classes, they've missed 6, 35% or more. In 2018-19, 50% missed 6 or more classes in the year. And then in 2019-20, 40, this was before we stopped for COVID. So by March 1st, the numbers were that 45% had missed at least 4 classes by March 1st. So we were well kind of on that role of having this many absences. 43% of our students missed at least a quarter of all classes in the last 3 years. So what that's telling us is it's not working for you guys. It's just not flexible enough. It's not helpful enough for you with your own families. And we're seeing that our number of students participating in Foundations in Faith has been decreasing each year. So these were our concerns. These were our flags. This is kind of why we're, we've been looking for something different.
And just to stop you for just a quick second, Amy,
Sure.
Another thing with all of that is, the kids are not only stepping out and saying, I don't want anything to do with the faith. I'm done being Catholic. They're also questioning God. Does God exist? What does God mean? All of those things. And that was something that if you had a child in the EDGE program last year, that was something that we really focused on. And it's not because of anything we've done. It's not because of anything you've done. These kids from elementary school, I'm talking young elementary school age, are being taught to question. They're taught to question everything. They can't even tell you that 2 + 2 = 4 anymore for the sake of the fact that that's what it is. They have to give you 3 reasons why and how did you get there and all of that stuff. So how can we not expect them to come to a point where they too are questioning about God? And so what's nice about this family formation model is they are going to have this opportunity, this natural opportunity where you guys come together and are talking about your faith, and they can ask questions. And, kids are pleasers. They want to please you. They want you to be proud of them. And they know that you're into this, this God thing and this church thing. And so they're not going to sit here and tell you, I don't think I buy this anymore. It's really hard to say something to you that's disappointing. So what's nice is this family faith formation is going to give you that opportunity, that natural opportunity to allow them to ask questions and allow you to answer that.
And in addition to that, teeing off of that, thank you, Lisa, is that idea that, with these parent sessions that we're going to have, and we'll go into that, we're going to be sharing what your kids will be exploring at your adult level, so that when they do have some of these questions, we will have already discussed it in our own groups, so that then it's just a natural way for you to kind of share that with them as well. I was thinking as she was talking too, you guys are the ones that have them, so much of the time. And so we can plant little seeds, but you guys are the ones that water them. You're the ones that, when your child comes home really upset, maybe when your younger one comes home upset and says, they said they're not my friend anymore. You're the one that deals with that picks up the pieces and says, hey, one, God loves you, no matter how lonely you feel from other people, God still loves you. And 2, let's pray for them, because I wonder what else is going on with them, or whatever. You're the one that kind of instills that faith, instills those little pieces of faith and kind of waters them, helps them to grow. Our society doesn't support faith anymore. We know that. And in fact, it's taking God out of everything. And so, our families is where our children are going to find God, and where we're going to hold on to that sense of faith. So that's why we also are looking to this model and are actually really excited about it. So what does it look like? Once a month, all families will gather at all ages, from preschool to high school. and everyone will have their age appropriate session. For the remaining 3 weeks of the year, or of the month, I'm sorry, families are gonna kind of explore topics at home. And I'll go into that a little bit further. We're gonna give you take-home packets that are not just online going through things, because we feel like you're online all the time with your kids right now. And these are like kind of take-home projects and games and conversations that you would have together. So that's kind of what the model looks like as an overview. With adults, we'll be bringing in some guest speakers, you know, with the kids, our monthly kind of age group related kind of sessions that will be hands-on. We don't have a book that they're just going to open and sit and go through line after line. They're going to be doing some kind of creative and engaging kind of faith learning. And of course, parents and children are going to share at home. We still want to, at some point when we're COVID able, we want to still have our family activities like our Advent activity, and we do have our Lent activity, you know, planned that hopefully we can do that. So we're still kind of keeping that from the old model.
And Amy, if I can just interrupt for a second, Ellen made a really great point about how, you know, she said we had some practice with this when family formation went virtual last spring. The Stations of the Cross, the scavenger hunt, they were great. Easter activities, they brought us together. So, and I just kind of explained that this was the start of that process, and that's what we plan to build on.
That's wonderful. And thank you, Ellen, for bringing that up. We appreciate that. That was kind of our goal. As even when we did our family vacation Bible school, yes, also kind of was just building upon what we had started in the spring. So what will a tentative schedule look like? Now, this is when we go full go in person in November. And we'll talk a little bit more about the virtual in a bit, but let's do our ideal setting. Monsignor has graciously agreed to have a mass so that all formation families can gather at 5 o'clock if they choose, so that you're not trying to go to mass in the morning and then come into formation at night. We're kind of thinking it'll be a neat little flow into, you know, the formation breakout sessions. And we're excited because we're thinking, the kids will be able to, you know, participate even more, you know, in the reading, bringing up the gifts when we can, all of those things. And maybe even some of you parents who are interested in dabbling could do that. But so it would start with that 5 o'clock family formation mass. And then we will just do a group prayer after that's over, and then release to all of the rooms, all of the breakouts. By 6:10, because we're figuring, you know, some parents might want to walk their kids depending on the age. By 6:10, we're going to begin the parent breakout sessions. We are actually going to have 2 sessions. The kids will be in one kind of complete hour and 20-minute session that they'll be moving and speaking and sharing. We will have our first session will be kind of the speaker. And that's really going to, remember, all of our kids and parents will all speak or learn on the same topic. So something simple I've thrown out is like the Holy Spirit. If in November, we're talking about the Holy Spirit, then everyone will learn about and talk about the Holy Spirit in their own sessions. Because then that will give opportunity for conversation when you leave. I think, you know, so often we have picked up kids from faith formation, and it's, you know, so how'd everything go? Oh, it was good. So what'd you do? We prayed. What'd you pray? The Hail Mary. And then that's it. You know, we don't know what they're learning. And I remember finding for myself, that was a frustration for me. And it had nothing to do with the catechists. It was just, your kids aren't really going to communicate and you don't know what to ask. They'll tell you so often if you ask, but you don't know what to ask. That kind of addresses, you know, we kind of address that with these adult sessions. Then we'll give you a little break. And then for the breakout session 2, we will be going through kind of the weekly sessions, what you will be having, what you will be taking home. It'll be in kind of a packet that kind of looks like this. And each week, we're just going to kind of introduce each week, you know, what the topic is, kind of what the activities are surrounding it. And we can even have back and forth conversation about what you think might work, what might not work. You know, parents can give other suggestions. It's going to be a nice working session to prepare you for the rest of the month. And then, of course, you know, any question and answers is kind of, so that's kind of how that monthly schedule is going to look. Now, remember, in October, we are going to pull together just parents. We're not quite ready for the kids yet. Just with COVID, we just wanted to give one more month. But we will be doing that. We will be going through, we won't have the mass, but we will go ahead and do both breakout sessions so that you get a good feel for what's going on. And for, I think we're going to give you maybe 2 things to do at home, you know, for 2 of the weeks before we meet again in November.
Amy, there was a question about what will that look like virtually?
So virtually, what we're going to do is we still are going to have you pick up your packets, because we really want, you know, you to have something in hand, tangible. Each of these packets will have enough supplies and materials for each of your kids, that we kind of do the work to kind of put this together for you. So you would need to pick up the packet after mass or however that works. And then we actually will have a virtual meeting on the Monday after. So November 1st will be our big family gathering together. November 2nd will be our virtual gathering, and that will be from 6 to 7:30 in the evening. Okay, good question, good question. So we kind of, so I just wanted to share, like, this adult breakout session 1, I think people had some concerns about it. You know, basically it's the adult friendly presentation of the faith topic that everyone is going to learn. But it is not a faith sharing group. It is not, we're not asking you to share, you know, your personal faith experiences. We have faith sharing groups for that, and they're awesome. And they are definitely, we could point you in that direction if you're interested, but this really isn't for that. This really is to make sure that you feel equipped to share as a family and address some of these topics as a family. And again, also, we don't assume that you don't know anything. You know, we're not teaching to kids, we're teaching to adults, and not really teaching to, we're doing some sharing of a faith topic. So that's kind of what that looks like, if anybody, you know, just for some clarification on that. And then I went through and talked about what breakout session 2 would look like, that review of the materials and question and answer, and working to feel prepared for that. So your family at home sessions, what do they look like? What are we asking for? We're asking that all families choose one day and time that will work for you, that will work for your family. We're asking for you to choose like 1 hour in the week. Now, for some of you with youngers, it might look like 2 half-an-hour sessions. You know, it might be 15-minute sessions each, depending on how young they are. But we're asking you to, you know, to schedule it, to make sure that it's kind of on the calendar. You will explore your faith topic at home through kind of activities and discussions. There are no per grade requirements. So I'm not going to say, okay, so make sure your first grader fills out this, make sure your second grader, make sure your fifth grader, make sure your high schooler, they all have a paper that they have to turn into us. That's not what this is. So it is a per family kind of experience and kind of requirements. So it might be, as a family, like we had done in the spring, send in a picture of you, I don't know, help me, Lisa. Send in a picture of.
So maybe what will happen is your packet, because all the packets are going to have a couple of different options. So it might be choose an activity and take a picture of your family doing it, or choose an activity and take a picture of your finished product. So it could be a little bit of anything.
Yes. And the beauty of this too is, you know, this will have material and work and things that you can do from your youngers to your olders. And you as the parent are in the driver's seat, right? You get to decide what is appropriate, what will work and what won't work for your family.
Just going to interrupt for just a
Oh,
second.
yeah.
Just so that you guys know, family formation, just like formation was before, is literally about your, back in the day, it was, every Sunday, it's just about that class. Sacraments are completely separate. So whether that be first communion, whether that be confirmation, whatever that should be, that is separate. That's a different process that they're going into. So the confirmation program won't change, and neither will the how they receive communion and do reconciliation. So the times might change a little bit, like for instance for sacramental prep for first communion and first reconciliation, but the process will not change.
And just so you know, I just spoke with Letty about this, Mason, who's in charge of our sacramental prep. And that we're not looking to start that right now until January. And it's looking like the focus will be kind of a January, February preparation for reconciliation, and then a March, April preparation for first communion. And you will get more information about that. But just so you have in mind, we're going to start getting some things to look to January for. And the same with confirmation. That traditionally has been starting in January. So kind of look for information end of November, early December on those specific, maybe sooner dates. With all of your projects, just to finish up, all the materials will be included in your packet, except for like the basics, glue, scissors, markers, whatever. But if we're asking you to use certain like clothespins or, something kind of crazy, it will be in there and enough for every family. And what you're going to get is kind of a monthly rundown sheet that will kind of give you each week to let you know kind of what's there. And then each week kind of what supplies you will need for it. So that's kind of the at-home session. Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay, so so I do want to just let you know that this family formation and the program that we're using has been in existence for 30 years. Basically, a priest out in Minnesota at his parish said, we need to make a change. 30 years ago, he saw it and he said, we're going to move our families in this direction of more of a family formation model. So they have been working and adjusting and amending this to be this program. They've been doing this for 30 years. And they have been, I probably speak to them once a week, asking questions, and they're very supportive. And just so you know, many parishes, as Monsignor had said, are now kind of being encouraged to by the Archdiocese, we're being encouraged to go more towards a family formation model. But many are, I spoke with St. Rose of, I think it's St. Rose of Lima down in Gaithersburg. I hope I'm right. I've spoken with a few different churches, but they've been doing it for 5 years and are just thrilled with what they've seen with their families. Of course, obviously, this parish loves what they've been doing. Let me see if there's anything else. We will be using their materials. If you go on the familyformation.net, you can kind of see some information about them. Their program kind of it goes until 6th grade, and we are extending that to provide these additional materials for our middle and high school families. So if you go on that website, you might say, wait, I have a high schooler and this is only up to 6th grade. We know we are working on that. That is not going to be an issue. And just so you know, also the topics that we go through this year, their plan is it's a 3-year cycle of topics. So let's say you have a younger, let's say, in kindergarten, and you're trying to give some talk about the Blessed Mother and they just get so very little out of it. That's okay. You're going to revisit again in 3 years. So as a 4th grader, right? Did I count that right? They will, you'll have a better discussion about the Blessed Mother, but you've just planted the seed when they're younger. And it just gives you that ability. So that we have a 3-year cycle there. Okay. And
sorry,
so,
I'm gonna stop you for a quick second. So we did have a question about calendar. And I know we'll talk about it a little bit, but just to give you guys a heads up, yes, we will definitely be sending you out a calendar. It hasn't been sent out yet because we're kind of waiting for registration a little bit to filter in. So if you haven't registered, that's something that we're going to highly encourage you guys to do sooner than later. Because specifically, I know for those who are doing virtual, we don't have to worry about space, but for in person, we do. So we're trying to just manipulate everything, and we're just nailing down. We've pretty much now nailed down what days of the week we're doing everything, and all that good stuff. We were just kind of popping it back and forth between, because we're doing 2 of everything. We're making sure everybody has an in-person option as well as a virtual option. So that will be coming out shortly.
And also, but just, sorry. Yeah, but just to keep in mind, the plan is to have you have us all gather at the very beginning of the month when we can, so that you have the rest of the month to kind of go through these at-home packets. So, I can look at my little calendar that we've done that we're not sending out yet. It'll go out very soon to everybody that has registered for sure, and then we'll get it on the website. But like November 1st will be our first one. December 6th, again, first week, first Sunday. Then we go to January 10th because we want everybody to still have that New Year's break. So that will be our first week back into formation, but it's going to be January 10th. And the only other time that it's the second week is when we hit Easter in April, because Easter is the first Sunday in the month, and we don't think anybody would want to share their Easter with us at Faith Formation. So anyway, okay.
More question, sorry.
Go ahead.
It was about registering. And we also, just so that you guys know, once Amy's finished, I'll be actually hitting the middle school and high school end. So if we're gonna wait for that, but for registration, before we finished out tonight, I will put a link for the registration in the chat, but you can also find it on our website. And when we send out the next, whatever goes to all of you guys, we will make sure every time we've sent something to you, the link to register is on it. So pull up any of our old emails, with the exception of this Zoom link email, everything else had a link to register on it.
Awesome, thank you. So as far as support, please know that one, of course, we're here to just answer your phone calls. If you just have a phone call, I can't, I don't understand what, whatever. Lisa and I will be here to answer any phone calls, but also, we are looking to have the Google Classroom kind of up and running. That's kind of a work in progress. Lisa will kind of explain that to you. Each week, we're going to continue to send our short video clips and email with that. We also have a parent Facebook group that you can hop on that will be monitoring to kind of ask questions. And of course, each month you'll have your monthly packet. In that packet, we'll have, what there is to do, but also Lisa will let you know that there's a calendar for the month that will kind of slide in there also to use. I just want to address this for our people who are considering in person. We have spent the summer as things are changing and figuring out how to bring people onto our campus safely. So, face masks will be required. We all will be wearing them when we're here on campus. We have a program that we can, send out like the daily health screenings. We're kind of working on that to be on the phone, that we can email it out to you. We've gotten it down to three questions. And what we're asking is, if one of your students, if a parent is not feeling well and maybe the health screening recommends that they don't come, then we ask that the family doesn't come, and that week then choose to go virtual, just to make sure that we're staying safe. We will be practicing our social distancing. That's why we are interested in making sure that our numbers are good. We have figured out how many kids we can put in each classroom, and we will be maintaining that safe distance. any materials and supplies that the kids use will be their own. We will not be borrowing and sharing. In the church, we will not share at our church, just for COVID. The rooms will be cleaned and sanitized, disinfected before you come and after you leave. I know the food guidelines specifically are for middle and high. They tend to snack just a little bit more, but everything will be individual portioned, self-contained kind of things. Hand sanitized before they eat them, and that kind of thing. So we have been thinking about that, and we have an actual longer form that we will also kind of be sharing with you. But we just wanted to let you know we've been thinking about it. And that's it. We are excited about this. Pope John Paul II said, families, be who you are. And we're excited because we feel like this is really going to allow all of our families to really grow in the faith and be who you are as a family in faith. And I think I'm excited about it.
Before we delve into middle and high school and how that all fits into family formation, does anybody have any questions specifically about what Amy has gone over that we haven't addressed yet? Okay. Great, Amy, if you could stop your screen share.
I will do that.
One thing I haven't fooled around with when I screen share is popping to a website. So when I pop to the website, Amy, if you could just let me know whether it actually goes there, I would appreciate you just kind of let me know.
Sure.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Sorry, I thought I had my unmute on, but somehow I messed up. I am a little confused about how the schedule is going to work. Could you go over that? Give me an example of the virtual classroom schedule versus the face-to-face schedule.
So each schedule involves a parent kind of family kind of portion. Once a month, that gathering, if you are virtual, actually for right now, we're still kind of figuring out how the kid portion will work on that virtual end. But I can tell you that the once a month for parents virtually will be the Monday after the in-person. Okay.
So this is kind of like an idea. This is like what possibly it could look like, your monthly calendar that we're going to put in with your packet.
Mm-hmm.
And ideally, like she said, the first Sunday of the month, if you're in person,
Okay.
we'll meet on Sunday evenings. The actual family formation session will be from 6 to 7:30, but there'll be a family mass offered for those who would like to do it in the evening instead of doing it Sunday morning from 5 to 6. And then if you're virtual, it's just literally the night after. So it's either going to be the first Sunday of the month or the first Monday of the month, with the exception of those 2 times that the holidays kind of interfere with that, which is at Christmas time where New Year's comes into play in January, and in April when Easter comes into play. So, and what will happen is it'll literally just get bumped to that second one. And when we send out in the next 2 weeks, you'll actually get a full year calendar. And it's pretty much going to be concrete. The only thing that will change, obviously, is if COVID hits in a way that we have to stop in person or something along those lines, and possibly offer a second virtual night because of the amount of people we have. We don't know. We don't know what that looks like. But
Okay, I misunderstood then, because I thought that for both the face-to-face and the virtual, you said that you were going to have 2 options.
no, there's not 2 options. There's only
Okay.
one in person, one virtual.
Okay, I misunderstood then. I thought I heard you say 2 options for each one.
The mass, I don't know. That's a very good question. It was asking if the 5 p.m. mass will be virtual as well. I don't know why it couldn't be. That's something we can discuss. We haven't decided that. So that's something that we could put on our question list and decide from there. There was also a question about the nursery. So as far as the in-person night, as of right now, we do not plan to have the nursery open, only because we don't know how many kids in how many we can actually keep safely in the nursery area right now. So as of right now, if nursery is something that you're interested in and you guys want to shoot us an email that's like a make it or break it for you, let us know, and then we can evaluate those numbers and kind of go from there. But for right now, it isn't an option because and maybe we can make it a limited option. We're not sure. That's just something we can evaluate. But at the moment, it's not something that we're doing. April, you have a question too? Go ahead.
As I was typing it, sorry. Oh, no, all good. I just have a question are the kids just gonna kind of pick up where they left off last year? And the follow-up to that question is the kids that haven't done their sacrament because of the COVID that were pulled back, should we have them re-enroll in those classes and just kind of build that for stronger understanding? What's kind of the guidance on that for us parents? Does that make sense?
It does, and that's a good question. As far I'm sure that those who have not yet received, I will pass that on with Letty. I'm sure she will do kind of a brush up, and you know, she'll be fine. She'll be fine. She'll do a brush up with those kids that haven't received so that they feel comfortable.
And I'm okay repeating the class. I just wasn't sure kind of where the guidance was on that, because I think that they're so
Yes.
important. I do want them to have the understanding, but I can imagine there are probably a few of us.
Sure, and that's a great question. And that is on my list to talk to Letty. I'm sure that she will address that. She is doing that with confirmation. You know, they're coming back, and she just is making sure, and we did that with our CIA too. As they kind of came back and it was a delayed preparation, then we met with them and we prepared them. And so we will.
So we're keeping a running list of what they've earned and at the end. All good.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, cool.
That will be covered.
Awesome.
Other thing too that we have to remember is that when we do come in person, these kids meet. Everybody has the same topic when they are all together. So there isn't like a missed. Nobody's going to miss anything. Everybody will kind of be on the same page, and you guys will kind of reinforce that at home. Does that
Gotcha.
make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
There was another question about whether our virtual sessions will be recorded. So for our full family, that is something that we are considering. So that way, if anybody does miss, they can watch it later. Now, as far as the kid portion, we're still waiting for guidance from AOB, which is the Archdiocese of Baltimore, to let us know if the kids are allowed to be video recorded. That may not be an option. So just to give you guys a heads up with that. But we will let you know that as soon as we give you, once you've registered and we have everything set, we're going to actually send you like a thank you for registering. This is your information list. All right. Is there any other questions as far as Amy's session is concerned and what we've been talking about right now? Those were all great questions. Thank you guys.
Very good.
So what does this mean for middle school? So for middle school, the middle schoolers will also come the same night as family formation with everybody else. So like we said, family formation is pre-K all the way up through high school. And for anybody who's had a middle schooler, EDGE will function the same way that it has in the past. And for those who have new ones coming up into EDGE, it's really exciting. We come together as a full group And then the kids actually break it into small groups with a small group leader. And so what will happen is whatever the topic is for the night, so let's say it's the Holy Spirit, like Amy was talking, because we all are going to go over the same topic. We'll have some kind of a presentation of the topic, whether it be a speaker, a video, a combination of both, whatever the case is. And then the kids will actually go into their separate groups and be able to kind of chew on that a little bit. Their small group leaders give them some questions, and there might be some activities that they will be able to talk about in an easier way, because it's hard sometimes for kids to share amongst their peers in a large group setting. So this allows them to be able to do it more intimately in groups of like 8. Even virtually, we will break out into small breakout rooms. So what can happen is we're all here, but I can then put you all in a small breakout room and pop you into your own little Zoom meeting that will last for so long, where they can actually have that opportunity to do so, and then bring everybody back to finish out the night. So it'll happen the same way, both virtually and in person. And that will be the first Sunday of the month, or the first Monday of the month, just like regular family formation. Oops. Then they will have a second thing that they will do. And I apologize, I was supposed to remove this mass. So what will happen on the third Sunday of the month is in between 9 a.m. mass and 11:30 mass, there will actually be liturgy of the word small groups. And the liturgy of the word small groups will be their second middle school session. And again, it will be offered both in person and virtually. Those who are in person will be on that third Sunday of the month. Those who are virtual will be the second Tuesday. It'll be the second Wednesday. It'll be the Wednesday before that Sunday. And what we're going to do in those groups is we're going to break down the readings for that Sunday. So whether it's the Sunday that they're coming to, or that Wednesday, the Sunday that they'll be coming or listening to or coming in person for, we'll be talking about them. They'll have questions on them. And the purpose of that is so that when they attend Mass, they're getting a better understanding of what they're listening to and what it means to them. It's kind of similar if anybody's been in a small faith sharing group. That's exactly what goes on there, as we break down the readings on Sunday and kind of figure out what that means to us. So for Edge, for our middle school program, they'll come to family formation with you guys. And that's whether they're virtual or not. And then every third Sunday, if they're in person, they'll come to a small group, or on the Wednesday night before, they'll come to a virtual small group. So that's middle school. Does anybody have any specific middle school questions? Okay. And this is the fun part of it. There we go. So for high school, in the past, the only high school offering that we've had is the sacrament of confirmation, and then some activities that have gone on periodically throughout the year. Right now, we're actually offering a full formation for high school. And so our high school program is called TIM Team, which stands for Teens in Ministry. It really started off the ground last year. We did a lot of different activities and events that were both social, as well as some formation, as well as some outreach. We also did some different retreats, like Mount 2000 at Mount St. Mary's. And then we had a TIM team group that met monthly. And in that monthly group, they actually got to help plan what the high school kids were going to do. And then literally the Thursday night before COVID shut us down was our last TIM team meeting. And we all had just discussed doing a high school youth group night that was literally about formation. And so once we moved to virtual, that's exactly how our virtual meetings went. It was a night of, we had fun activities. And then I got my young adults involved, and we had a topic for the night where we broke it down. It was presented, and then we broke it down in a discussion format for the high school kids. And that's exactly what's going to happen. So first, they'll have family formation night, just like all of us, that first Sunday of the month. And they will have the opportunity to also meet They will have one of two options. They can either be a peer minister for our pre-K through 5th grade kids, where they'll actually be like a teen helper in a classroom, or they can be a helper in our EDGE middle school program. And then depending upon how many high schoolers we have, they would actually have their own small group where we meet with EDGE. So it really will just depend on numbers. And then every third Sunday of the month, or on Wednesday nights before, they will also participate in the liturgy of the word small groups, but they will have their own small group, and or they could be a peer minister towards a middle school small group. Then as a high schooler, you have the option to, as a family, let's say you're a family of just high school kids. You know, we thoroughly understand that this is, you know, a new process. You haven't your kids haven't grown up through this process. Let's say family formation isn't something you're ready for as a high school family. So we do have an additional option, which is just our TIM team registration option. What that means is you will get a youth ministry night, which is the first Wednesday of the month. We will meet as a high school youth group. And for the first half hour, we're going to do our TIM team meeting, which again, the kids will get to, you know, talk about what they want to do and what's coming up. And then from 7 to 8, we'll have formation, where we'll have a topic for the evening, and then they'll have discussion. And depending upon how many kids we have, we could break into small group or just do it as a group in general. They too will be able to come to family formation night on Sundays or Monday evenings as a peer minister or be in their own group. The only thing that it wouldn't include is the monthly family packets and the parent session. And then they too can participate in the liturgy of the word small groups. So it's kind of like the Y, okay? When you go to the Y, you sign up your family, right? And you have the opportunity to go to the weight room. You can take Zumba classes. You can go to the pool. And then if you are, if you want to sign your kid up for soccer, because you're a Y family member, you'll get the $30 rate rather than the $50 rate that the kids off the street get. So it's very similar. As a high school, depending upon what you register for, these are the things that are open to your high schooler that they can participate in should they want to. And then like it says here at the bottom, it includes monthly activities up to $5. So typically our monthly activities are about $5, but if they should be a little bit more, you would get the lower family formation / TIM team registration fee. So you get to subtract 5 from it. So as a family formation registrant, you get everything. As a TIM team registrant, you get everything except for the family packets and the parent sessions. And then the last opportunity is, we're not going to say you can't come to anything if you're not any of those things. You know, we want your high school kids to participate. We want their friends to participate. So for family formation night, if anybody wants to peer minister, they are welcome to peer minister no matter what, with any of the kids in any of the groups. For the high school youth group night, if they want to come and try it out and see if they like it, they absolutely can. It's just if they want to continue to come, they would have to register with TIM team. Same thing with liturgy of the word small groups. If they want to come and check it out and see how it is, absolutely come do that. And then if it's something that they like and want to continue into doing, again, they would just need to sign up as a TIM team registrant. And then lastly, all of the activities that we have, they can participate in any of those, as well as their friends. It's just if they want to go to that next step and do it all the time, they'll just have to register, which isn't a bad thing. So you're always at any point welcome to come in and register.
Ellen shared that, you know, her teens are involved in the TIM team group and they really enjoy it. So that was one comment. And then Deidre asked, will the outreach help or count towards hours needed for graduation? And really, you know, we are not opposed to signing any forms with any outreach that your teens do. It really determines, you know, it's determined by what their school will accept.
Typically our outreach events, like when we do It's a Blessing, anything that the whole community is allowed to do is something that the public school system will allow for SSL hours, which is what it was called, the student service learning hours, anything like that. So a lot of the outreach activities that we do are accepted, even Vacation Bible School, because we open it up to the public. Is
community.
accepted. If you're at Goretti, everything
take
we do-
everything.
everything we
They
do
do.
is accepted.
Mhm.
Yes, so many hours. That's right. An additional thing you sign your high school. So Lauren, if you sign up for family formation, Tim Team is automatic. All right. It's automatically part of your family formation. Okay. And so Tim Team registration is just for any families who do not sign up for family formation, but want their high schooler to participate in the formation program. The youth group activities, all of those things. Anybody else high school wise? Yeah, it does look good on a college application too. And that is something that I know myself as a youth minister, and I'm sure Amy's had the same thing, and probably even Monsignor, is we write letters. we write
do.
letters to your kids when they do scholarships, when they're going for college apps, all of those things. And the more we know them, the better letter we can give them. So just keep that in mind. Oh my goodness. So, okay, so calendars and communications. So first of all, we have to use digital communications. We've been using different things like Flocknote emails. We also use Facebook, the website, and YouTube videos. Please look for anything that says important, please read. We're also going to try and head it up like family formation, Edge, high school, Tim Team, whatever. Because right now, if you get a flock note from St. Anne, it all says St. Anne. So really look at that subject line. That'll let you guys know what's out there. Another thing that we're working on is Google Classroom. And for any of you who have kids in the public school system, 9 times out of 10, that is what they're using at school is Google Classroom. So that's something that we are also looking at as like a one-stop shop where you guys can always go into your Google Classroom, which then puts you into a Google Calendar and gives you everything, which I'm going to show you here in just a second. But we're just, like I said, we're just looking for better options to be able to make it as easy for you guys to find and know as possible. So we showed you a copy of what we'd like to give you monthly. What you'll be sent initially, though, is a whole year format like you've typically gotten in the past. But then monthly, we'll show you something like this that has a little bit of everything on it. If you have a kid in confirmation, if you have a young adult at your home. I've even tried to put on here when schools are closed. So it's really nice to see all of that when you're planning. In conjunction with that is, I was talking about this Google Calendar that comes into play. And I'm going to kind of just show you what that looks like. So Amy, just let me know when I go into this. Is it showing you or is it still looking at that slide?
We're still looking at the Google Classroom slide.
Okay, so I'm going to stop share for a second. And then I'm going to reshare what just came up. Okay, can you see the Google Classroom now?
Yes.
Okay, so this is Google Classroom. And yes, there's like a million things on here because obviously I need to be into all of these things. When you register, whatever you are registered for is what you'd get a little classroom for. So you'd either get a class, you get family formation if you sign up for family formation. If you have a middle schooler, you'll get the Edge. If you have a high schooler, you'll get Tim Team. If you are a young adult or have a young adult, you'll get young adult stuff, confirmation, RCA, so on and so forth. And what's nice is, and I'm wondering, did it go to the next screen? Or are you, okay, good. So with that, you see, I just opened up the family formation Google Classroom, and we can put things in here. So for instance, that November calendar that I was showing you, it's right here. Anything else that we need to show you, email wise, link wise, PDF to print out wise, can all be right here in this one area of family formation. So anytime you're like, oh my gosh, where is that family formation thing? You'd go right here to your Google Classroom. The nice thing is you can access this on your computer, but there's an app for your phone called Google Classroom that you can literally just touch and go to as well. Now, with that being said, like I said, once you have the Google Classroom and you're registered, you can actually go to the calendar too. Now, Amy, did it go? Is it going to the calendar on your screen?
It is.
Yay. Okay. So as you can see here with your Google Calendar, I'm actually going to bump us to November, which is our full month. And then on my left-hand side here, you can see all those classes that I had in Google Classroom are right here along the side. And they're all different colors. Now, when they import into your Google Calendar, they might not have the same colors as mine, but what's nice is they will have a different color. So anything that's purple is, let's just say anything that's yellow is confirmation. So every time you see this little yellow dot, it's a confirmation thing on your calendar. And if you choose not to want to see confirmation, you just unclick it and bam, it's gone. So whatever you want to see, you just have to make sure it's checked on and ready to go. It even holds your own personal calendar on here. So if you have your own family's calendar on here, you can actually have all of it all in one area. So another neat thing about this Google Calendar, for instance, I'm going to go back to September, only because for high school, for those of you, if you don't know it, there's an event at my house tomorrow night. It's a end of the summer high school kickoff event where we get to play volleyball and do cornhole. We're going to do kickball. I'm going to have a bonfire and they can make s'mores and we'll have pizza. So what's nice is right here on the 18th, if you click on it, it shows you that it's, this is the high school event. It's from 6 to 9. And right here at the bottom in the description, I have included, once it comes up, gotta love the internet. The permission slip. So this is, again, like we were saying, a one-stop shop. You know, it'll have in here too, if you go back to the Google Calendar, what's nice is whenever we have a Zoom meeting, your Zoom meeting links will be in here. So those Liturgy of the Word small groups that we were saying that are both in person and on Zoom, bam, right here is your Zoom link. So no longer do you need to look for an email. You'll still get that option, but no longer do you have to because everything is right here. So are there any questions in regards to that?
Lisa, can you clarify the time the high school, middle school group is going to meet on the second Wednesday of the month between
Okay.
the masses, correct?
So so it won't meet between the masses because it's a Wednesday. So if it's the Zoom one,
I'm sorry, not Wednesday. Thank you. I was looking and trying to talk at the same time. Just, will you share?
yes, I sure will.
Like,
So looking at our calendar right here, the Liturgy of the Word in-person small groups are the third Sunday of the month. And they will be in between the masses. So that way, if you're a 9 o'clock mass person or you're an 11:30 mass person, it's not going to affect you. Your child can come either way. And it'll be from 10 to 11:15. So it'll be in between the masses. Now,
That's what-
if you're a virtual person, we're trying to keep most everything from 6 to 7:30, with the exception of my high school youth ministry night, only because those kids tend to have a lot after school and such. So we've found that 6:30 is a nice option, especially since we're doing a meeting section for the first half hour. So if they have to pop in even a little later at 7, they'll at least make the youth group portion of it.
and that's what it was when on this calendar, it showed 10 to 11:15 or something on Wednesday. So just wanted to clarify.
Sorry about that. Like I said, that was just something I had to see. That calendar, you have to type everything in and you have to do it every single time. This calendar is amazing because I can literally just click on something and change it in the Google thing and it'll change it every single time all the way through. Quick and easy, efficient. So I am just going to go back really quick to my slideshow. Just make sure I got everything, which I think I got almost everything, with the exception of our last little thing, which is, oops. So volunteering. We are still looking for a few catechists for our youngers. We potentially might need one for our middle school, high school. I'm not sure. Right now, it'll all depend on numbers. I am also looking for high school parents or anybody who's interested in working with high school. I'm interested in looking for anybody who's willing to help out with any kind of activities and events that we have going on. We've also been doing some events that the whole parish gets to be involved in. You know, like last year we did March for Life. We just did an outreach day over the summer. And now we're actually doing an Out of the Darkness walk on Saturday, October the 3rd. And that's something that I would love all of your high schoolers to come to. That's something I would have no problem with you dropping them to me. I've just been asking that if you have a middle schooler, that someone attends with your middle schooler. And again, anybody in the parish is welcome to participate. And it's just to bring awareness to suicide prevention. It also, you know, that group works with people who have mental illness. It's to raise money and spread awareness for that. So anybody interested in helping, please reach out at any point. And that's it for me, I think. Is there any other questions? Did I get everything? I think we're good.
Okay. Monsignor, do you want to close us out, or? We just wanted to thank everybody for coming
Yes.
and asking your questions, and we really look forward to this year. We're excited with it. But remember that we are here to continue to answer questions as they pop up. We gave you a lot today to think about. So please don't hesitate to call us or email us or text us or whatever with questions. Sorry, Monsignor, you're on.
Great, thank you. And just a couple quick things for me. One, again, is to say thank you to all of you for sharing your time and investing your energy and attention and interest in what we believe, of course, is one of the really important things that we all are called to be attentive to, growing in our relationship with God and with each other as disciples of Jesus and participants in a spiritual community. A lot of other things in life are important too, but boy, it all really kind of focuses back onto that. Second thing I want to say thanks to is to our team, Amy and Lisa and Letty. As you might imagine, what you have heard this evening didn't exactly just pop out of thin air. It required a whole lot of thinking and discussing and preparation and planning, made even more challenging because of the COVID dynamic. So team, thank you very much. It's really, really terrific. A third thing that I want to say is, as you've heard, there's a little bit of, we're building the plane as we're flying it. So we appreciate your understanding of that and your patience with that. And your questions may highlight an item or two or so that we either had not given thought to or need to think of in a different way. That's okay. You know, we're a flexible, fluid, dynamic, growing organization, and that's what good organizations are able to do. Which is also, by the way, you all get to be those who are helping to pave the way, pioneers, if you will, for those who will come after you next year and the year after that and the next year at a certain point. Somebody will be looking at us and saying, wow, they've been doing this for 30 years and they've got it happening really well. That's because of your participation, your contributing not only to the growth and development of the spiritual life of your students and yourselves and your household, your family, you're also contributing to the larger church's growth and development and evolution of passing on the faith in a more effective way. That is not to be lost sight of or overlooked. Also, hopefully, stepping back, the cumulative thing that I hope you've experienced this evening is the sense that passing on the faith, living in the spiritual life is a profoundly interactive thing. It is not just a matter of book learning, concepts stuck in a head, but is a very mutually interactive thing. And what we have here is, in this model, are students being very interactive, not stuck behind a classroom desk, but very interactive with their catechist. students being very interactive with their family or parents and family members being very interactive with each other, family members and households being interactive with us as parish staff and team. It's just a whole lot of engagement and interactivity and integration, and that is really healthy and growthful and far more effective in growing a spiritual community of missionary disciples than just plunk it in a classroom for a few minutes and checking that off the box. So we're really excited, as you can tell. We're really eager. I really look forward by the time spring comes to hearing all kinds of terrific stories that you guys are going to share with us about how your experience of faith has grown and developed throughout these weeks and months. So again, thank you all so much. Thanks to our team. One final note, if I might suggest that Amy and Lisa stay on as everyone else drops off, so that the three of us can do a quick post-session chat, and then we'll be happy to drop off too. So thanks, everybody, and we really hope you have a pleasant what's rest of the evening, a great weekend, and as I typically say to most everybody, please do keep safe, be well, and God bless you.
Just so that you guys know, the registration link is in the chat. It's also on our website under family formation, and there's actually its own little section. Unfortunately, it says it's from pre-K to grade 8. That's just a typo on there. It is up until high school. So it's right on our website. If you have any issues though finding it, just let any of us know.
Good night, all.
Yes, thank you.
Hi, thanks, everybody.